Hey guys, and thank you for joining me today for my debt tracking video. And so what I'm going to do, so this is kind of the opening debt tracking video for the month. Obviously there'll be some updates that I'll have to do at the end of the month once I actually make payments, figure out the interest that are charged and my ending balances. But I'm going to go ahead and set up the start, and I kind of just wanted to talk about where our budget journey is right now. So we have a total of, and I have it written down in my budget planner, $158,506.40 in debt. So we are in the hole, we have a lot of debt. And so a big amount of that is definitely student loans. I have student loans because I got my bachelor's and my master's with student loans, and he has student loans from when he got his degree. So we have a lot of student loans. More than half of that is in student loans. But no matter what, at the end of the day, adding the money all together, or the debts all together, that is what we owe. And so looking at that and finally writing down the numbers and stuff, we decided that as Dave Ramsey would say, we're sick and tired of being sick and tired. We have this debt. The student loans have kind of been sitting over our heads. I just graduated with my master's in December of 2021. So, or was it December 2021? No, it was December 2020. Wow, I graduated a long time ago. Yeah, I graduated a long time ago. Anyways, I've been saying that wrong. I think in a previous video I said I graduated December 2021. I'm lying. I graduated December 2020. I finished off my degree, right after COVID hit. And then I had my graduation in spring of 2021. And it was in spring of 2021 because during 2020, everything was virtual because everything was shut down. We didn't get to have our ceremony until spring of 2021. I've been saying that wrong. But basically, the point is that since I was still going to school, my student loans were deferred, but they were still accruing interest. So the amounts are a lot higher than they originally were. Plus, as I was going through school, the last couple semesters, I didn't take out any money because my job actually paid for my degree. But before that, I had taken out money. And so, we have a lot of student loans, and we want to pay them off. And it's also other little debts that we have that we don't want to have it anymore. Like, we want to know that as our income comes in, like, it's our income to do whatever we want with, and not feeling like, well, okay, we have to fork out all this money now and give it to all these people because they basically have control over us. We don't want that anymore. And so our goal and our budget and our conversations have been that we want to get out of debt, and we want to attack the debt head on at full force. We've kind of been like, we never have been the kind to pay minimum payments, but we have been the kind that, like, oh, it's okay if it's there, like, it's not a big deal. We can make over the payment, so we can make 2-3 times the minimum payment and it's fine. But we don't want to be that way anymore. Like, we seriously just want to get rid of all of it. And that way we know everything that's coming in is ours to do with as we please. So our debt has been our main focus right now. And so, because of that, we decided on a couple of things. One, we decided that we went through our budget and we had to figure out, things we could cut. And we cut out quite a bit already. There were certain things that we didn't cut. I'm going to be honest. My 2 oldest daughters, they do competitive cheerleading, which is a very expensive sport. And we debated cutting it out, but we just don't feel like, we don't want to do that. We don't want them to suffer because we have all the student loans that we do, and because we have the debt that we do. We don't want that to affect them. My oldest, she's in 5th grade right now. So this coming year, starting in May, will be her, another season of cheer starting for her. And then comes 7th grade, because then she'll start 6th grade in August. So by the time she gets to 7th grade, she could do middle school cheer. I don't know if she's going to like middle school cheer and not do competitive cheer anymore. I'm not sure. But that's another reason why we don't want to take her out of competitive cheer right now. Because what if this is the last year that she ends up doing competitive cheer because she ends up liking cheer in school better? So we don't want to take away this from them. So because we're keeping them in cheer, and that's a really expensive sport, we cut out in a lot of different categories. But we've basically adjusted our budget to where we do have a big chunk of change that we're just going to throw to these debts. And so that's going to be our focus. The way we plan on doing it is with the debt snowball. And so a lot of the stuff that we're doing is inspired by Dave Ramsey. I won't say we're following his plan exactly, because I think he would severely frown upon the fact that we have them in competitive cheer and we're paying the amounts that we pay. But a lot of what we're doing is following his plan. Not all of it, but a lot of it. And so he suggests the debt snowball. And so we're going to end up doing the debt snowball. And so the way the debt snowball works is that you put your debts in order from lowest to highest balance, and then you start attacking the lowest ones first. And so with this month, I know that I think the first 3 lowest ones, the extra income that we have, we're probably going to be able to pay those first 3 ones off because they're smaller. Like I said, once we get towards the end, it's the student loans that are going to take a long time to get through. But there's like 2 or 3 small ones that we'll be able to get rid of. So we want to make sure that we're attacking those. So for all our debt, we're going to give minimum payments, and on the lowest ones, all the extra income, we're going to put them towards the lowest ones so we can start knocking them down. That's kind of our plan going forward. We also, so I have been contributing something like 19% of my income towards retirement. And Dave Ramsey is always saying that you should not be doing that you shouldn't start contributing into retirement until you're out of debt. And that is one thing that I struggled with a lot also, because, I like having the money put away so that way I know I have that in the future, because I'm always worried that, if we get the extra income not putting into the retirement, we're just going to spend it. But right now we're at a point we're really focused that I know any extra income we're getting, we're throwing it towards debt. So I halted that temporarily, and I'm going to put it towards debt. Now, don't get me wrong. If I notice that we're not putting it all towards debt and we're still spending, then I'm just going to go ahead and put it back in retirement. So we're not just throwing that money away. But I really don't think that that's where it is. Me and my husband have spent hours and hours talking over our budget and our financial plan for our future. And so we really think that, halting my retirement contribution will really only last until the end of this year. And then we'd be able to start contributing again to retirement. But for right now, we stopped it. So that being said, that's our budget plan. That's kind of where our intentions are and what our plan is and how we plan to tackle this. So now I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to start writing down all the debts that we have. And so some of these are pretty ridiculous. There's stuff that we have that is just insane. But we have a couple of Affirm payments, and these I already knew that we would pay off right away. There was a couple things that I bought on Amazon that it was just easier to just do the Affirm payment, because I was like, oh yeah, like it was one of those things that like I was spending these amounts and I justified it in my head, because I'm like, well, instead of spending all of that, I can just give the monthly payment and it'll be just fine. Knowing full well that I probably wouldn't have kept it that long and I would have paid it off, because I've done it a couple of times and then I end up paying it off. But I did do it recently. So I have a couple of Affirm accounts that I have to pay off. And these are the ones that I'm telling you, like they're little, and I know that I'll be able to pay them off this month for sure. But I have a couple of those. I have my Target credit card, which that one is such a pain. I think I need to figure out how to set up the debit card for Target, because we like to pay with our card because we get the 5% discount on our purchase using the card. But then sometimes I forget to go back in and actually pay it off right away. So right now we have a balance carried from last time I went, and I meant to pay it right afterwards and I just forgot to. But I got 5%, right? I think that's why Dave Ramsey like always makes fun of people and the fact that they're always like, oh yeah, but I'm getting 5%. But it's like, yeah, now they're charging me interest because I forgot to go and pay it off right away. So that is the reason why we're getting rid of all our cards and moving to debit and cash only, because stuff like that happens. I have a PayPal account, and that one, let's see, we have a little bit of a balance on too. So like I mentioned, a lot of these top ones are a little smaller, so I'll be able to probably pay them off in the next couple of months. I think when I did a little mock snowball, on the computer on Excel calculating it, a lot of these will end up paid off by I think June or July, and that's not even accounting for all of the extra income that I'm gonna potentially be able to throw into it. That's just calculating our base salary, not including all the changes that we've made, not including overtime that he might do and stuff like that. That's not being included in my calculations, like my mock, like, oh, just to see what's the potential. And with that, we were probably going to be able to pay a lot of these off by July, I think. So that's a good thing, is that a lot of these will be gone. Like I mentioned, the biggest thing is that we do have student loans and they are really high amounts. So that's kind of the bummer. But if we can get rid of these smaller ones just to not have them hanging over our heads, then I'm hoping we'll feel a little bit more confident attacking those student loans. I have an Ulta MasterCard, and that one was another one that I was like, oh yeah, let me just use it because I get all these points that I can put towards makeup. And then, it's really ridiculous if you know me, because I do own quite a bit of makeup. I do like makeup and I love eyeshadow palettes, but honestly, I don't wear makeup that often. I leave the house at 5 in the morning and I work for 10 hours a day. So when at work, I'm not really worried about wearing makeup. It's not a big deal to me. So I don't wear makeup during the day. And it's very rare that we actually go out because we're always at cheer with my daughters. So I own all this fabulous makeup that I never really get to use. So it was kind of ridiculous that I was like, oh yeah, let me get a card so I can get more points to buy more makeup that I don't wear, because I don't really get to wear it. I mean, when I do wear it, I really love makeup and I love wearing makeup, but I don't wear it often enough that I don't think the points were really that important. I think I ended up using the points anyways on shampoos. Shampoos I do use a lot. Like, I'm real particular with my hair. I like to make sure that the shampoos and stuff that I get are like sulfate free, paraben free, and stuff like that, because I've been, real big on trying to take care of my hair so I don't damage it anymore. But yeah, I didn't really need the points. Right here on the bottom, these are the student loans that I mentioned. He has $42,449 in student loans, and I have $60,444 in student loans. So, like I mentioned, more than half of our debt is in student loans. So we'll be able to crank out a lot of this really quickly, and then it's going to slow down once we start. I think like these will be done in like a couple months, maybe even Westlake. This is my van. I think we're going to be able to knock off my van and all these other ones by the end of the summer. It'll be his bike and our 2 student loans that are going to take longer, but I know we'll be able to hit them, and we're really focused on it. So, yeah, I have really high hopes. So yeah, that's all the debt that we have. I'm writing them down now just so that we can track them and I can see the amounts. After this month hits, by the end of this month, I'll know what we actually end up getting paid, what we actually spend. And right now, this debt amount, the $1,426, is just minimum payments on everything. But I know that we're going to have extra income. And so all that extra income will be thrown towards this debt. So as I go through the month, by the end of the month, I'll be able to tell you guys how much exactly I was able to put onto each one. And so all these lower ones will be minimum payments, but these top ones, I know this 28 we're going to pay off. I think the payment on this one's like 15, but we're going to pay off the full 28. This 256, I think we're paying off. There's a couple of these up top that I think we're going to pay off right away. And so I'll be able to put the actual amounts that are going to be more than minimum payments. And then obviously these won't have interest, and say the end balance. And then these, whatever payment we made, how much interest we accrued, and then what the end balance is. So that's how I'll be tracking it this month. So if you guys are on a similar debt payoff journey, please share with me your guys' experiences so far. Are you guys having trouble staying focused? How are you guys doing? I think that when you're going through something like this, trying to pay off debt, it's really good to talk to other people or hear other experiences just for inspiration, because, that way you have this feeling like, we're all going through it together. I know Dave Ramsey always has these statistics that, like, I think there was this one highlight video where he's like, Ken and Barbie are broke. And so basically saying that, you know, you see these people and they look like they're all put together and they have their whole life figured out and they look, you know, picture perfect, but a lot of them end up being in debt just as much as you are. So even if you don't look perfect, just know that the good majority of Americans are also in debt. That's just kind of the trend that we're in, especially if, you know, if you're like us and you go to school and you didn't plan properly, so you ended up taking student loans. A lot of people have student loans, and that's just one that we've kind of all accepted. Like, yeah, we have student loans, and it's like, okay. But in our minds, it's not okay anymore. Like, we don't want to owe that money when we want to get rid of it. We know they give you like something like 20, 30 years. But if you look at the amount, like I've calculated, if I pay it for that length of time at the minimum payments, the amount that I'm paying in interest is just ridiculous. If I paid it off sooner, all that money I could put in to my retirement, and then with the compound interest, I would be really set for retirement. And then I can also put some of that extra income into accounts for our children, so that way our children don't end up with student loans. Like, we have all these goals that we want because we don't want this to be the norm for our kids. We don't want them to be like, oh yeah, we owe over 100,000 in student loans, but that's okay because we have a degree now. Like, we don't want that for them. So because of that, we want to attack ours, and then that way later on we can invest and get them accounts set up so that way they're not in the position that we are in right now. So yeah, if you're in similar experiences or if you already passed this, please share that with me. If you have links, if you're a YouTuber and you have videos on it, well, go ahead and post your guys' pages. I'd love to go in and kind of watch. I'm always looking for more YouTube videos to watch. I watch a lot on YouTube regarding debt payoff and budgeting. So if you have any of those, share them and we can follow each other and share this experience together. So like I mentioned, thank you guys for joining. If you haven't already, please hit subscribe so you can get notifications so you guys can continue with me on this journey, and you guys can also catch my plan with me's on my channel. If you haven't already, go over to Instagram and you can follow me at Plan with Soto. And then, yeah, that way you guys can kind of see, you know, my planning, my journey and all that as we go. I post pictures on there constantly so you can see just different aspects of my life aside from this video. But yeah, go ahead and follow me on Instagram. Thank you guys for joining me today, and until next time.